Pre-reading reminder. This book is not a traditional cultivation text, nor a pure cultivation text. There will be a transitional period in the early stage, and the cultivation script will only begin later. When it comes to the Xiaoyao Sect, people are all in awe. The first sect in the world, all cultivators want to enter. But no one knows that the leader of the Xiaoyao Sect is a little girl who looks under 20 years old. Senior brother silently watched as his junior brothers and sisters were proud of the Xiaoyao Sect, thinking to himself. If it weren't for his wit back then, the current Xiaoyao Sect would have changed its name to Xianyu Sect, and I don't know if you're still laughing. The second senior brother looked at the white tiger mount under the master's buttocks and questioned the first senior brother. Didn't you tell me back then that it was a watchdog? Third senior sister shook her head. Her senior brothers were all too foolish, so she went to discuss with her master and decided to inherit the Xiaoyao Sect to her. And their master Baiyao is currently thriving in the martial arts world as an unknown person. Chapter 1. The Opening of a New World. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Hello host, the New World mission has been launched. The main task is to create the cultivation world. The secondary task is to create one's own sect, which requires both tasks to be completed to be considered successful. During this period, random small tasks may appear from time to time. Please accept them in a timely manner. We are about to shuttle to the new world, please be prepared. A strong bright light flashed before Baiyao's eyes, and she arrived in a new world. Not far ahead is a village, and behind is a towering mountain. The land in front of us, as well as the mountain behind us, are all owned by the host. The host can choose the location where the sect will be established on their own. Baiyao turned her head and glanced at the big mountain behind her. It was so high that she couldn't see her head, and climbing up was not tiring. She decisively chose a stable land under her feet. Then she saw a shaky thatched cottage standing next to her. The sect gate has been completed, please name the host. Baiyao looked at the so-called sect in front of her and didn't say anything for a while. You'd better not joke with me. Host, the system only answers and solves problems, not jokes. I don't accept this sect. It's windy and rainy, and there's nothing left. How could it be even more miserable? When the previous world first arrived, there was still a place for someone to live, and this one in front of me could be called a cowshed. If the host is not satisfied with the sect, they can choose to upgrade. How to upgrade? 100 points upgrade 1 level, and the host currently has an initial score of 1000. Upon hearing that there were 1000 points, Baiyao decisively rose. Upgrade 1 level. Then I saw some mud sticking to the original thatched cottage. Baiyao was dumbfounded. There was no difference between it and not changing, so she decided to upgrade it all at once. Upgraded to level 10. This time, the original thatched cottage underwent significant changes and was upgraded to a small green brick farmhouse. Baiyao pushed open the door and walked in. Although the area was not very large, there were rooms on all 3 sides, at least it looked like a place for people to live. She chose her own room and clicked twice in front of her, and the layout of the room changed. The furniture and bed were all replaced with what she liked. There are even kettles, computers, and air conditioning. Host, you secretly brought something to the new world again, and you still brought so much. The system's eerie sound sounded, adding some popularity compared to the mechanical sound just now. Baiyao lay on the soft big bed, refuting her disagreement. What does it mean to steal? I'm fair and upright, okay. The overall system doesn't care about me, so just turn a blind eye. Alright, turn on the electricity quickly. Without hot water, I'll die of thirst. You don't want to die with me, do you? The system reluctantly connected Baiyao with electricity. Baiyao has a habit of only drinking hot water, even if it's warm water, she just refuses to drink cold water. And in summer, regardless of wind or rain, she always has to turn on the air conditioning, even if it's covered with a blanket. She said it's called happiness. The system does not understand this. Water is hot, while air conditioning is cool. Isn't it contradictory to have one hot and one cool? Host, please receive your first disciple within 3 days and think of the name of your sect. Got it, got it. Baiyao impatiently waved her hand, then turned around and wrapped herself in the blanket to sleep. Her mission is to have enough sleep and food first, no matter what you do, in order to have the strength to do it. Having just experienced the fatigue of the previous world, Baiyao closed her eyes and fell asleep in no time. In the evening, Baiyao was awakened by the sound of horse hooves. Listening to the noise outside, she slowly sat up. Upon arriving at the door, I saw that the village in the distance was on fire, and people were shouting for help. The first mission in the new world is to annihilate the bandits, rescue Jun Lingchuan and take him as his disciple. The mechanical sound of the system rang out, and Baiyao's eyes became sharp. She quickly tied up the scattered hair behind her and rushed towards the village. When she arrived, the bandits were burning and killing the people who were looting the village, and the ground was covered in dead and injured pieces. Baiyao rushed towards a young girl bandit wielding a knife and kicked her to the ground. She then grabbed the machete from his hand and swung it, wiping off his neck. The entire movement is coherent and crisp, without any dragging or dragging. Obviously, she has done such things a lot before. Baiyao looked at the little girl and asked her to find a place to hide, then killed the nearest bandit. Her slender figure shuttled through the crowd, and as she passed by, the bandits collapsed one by one. Finally, the bandits discovered this difficult character and surrounded her. Seeing clearly that it was a girl who looked pretty, her eyes became lewd. Yo, I didn't expect there to be such a stunning girl in this remote and impoverished place. I've had another good day today. The robbers looked at Baiyao naked from the side, without paying any attention to her. It was just a girl's movie, what kind of flower waves could it make? Faced with so many people surrounding her, Baiyao remained calm and focused her gaze on the little boy bound behind the bandit leader. Warm voice channel. Are you Jun Lingchuan? The boy was stunned for a moment, his eyes flickering with hope, but then something came to his mind. His eyes dimmed and he nodded slowly. The smile on the bandit leader's face froze, and he didn't expect Baiyao to actually know Jun Lingchuan. This is the person they kidnapped from the enemy's royal family. Baiyao knows her, which means she is also from the enemy's country. Therefore, this person cannot be kept. Unfortunately, such a beautiful woman. Baiyao received an accurate response from Jun Lingchuan and only killed the bandit leader, ignoring what he said. A group of bandits, in the hands of Baiyao, couldn't even get any advantage, and couldn't even touch the corner of her clothes. The people in the village were saved, so they all hid far away. Only a few brave people hid in the distance and watched. Baiyao chopped down the last bandit and aimed the knife at the head of the bandit's neck. At this moment, she was like a demon on earth, even the bandit leader who had killed countless people couldn't help but tremble. Looking at the obvious fear in his eyes, Baiyao did not soften at all. In the moment he opened his mouth, he waved his machete and blood splattered. The entire process only takes about 10 minutes. Jun Lingchuan watched as Baiyao walked towards him step by step, feeling his heart beating in his throat. He thought Baiyao was here to save him, but now he looked at her fierce appearance and felt a little uncertain. Baiyao swung a machete at him and he closed his eyes in fear. Then I felt my wrist loosen, and it turned out that the rope tied to my hand had been cut off. Congratulations to the host for annihilating the bandits and successfully rescuing Jun Lingchuan. Reward 500 points. Follow me. After speaking lightly, Baiyao walked back without looking back. She didn't like the smell of blood and rushed back to take a shower. But in Jun Lingchuan's eyes, Baiyao is a cold, fierce, and difficult to reach person. He looked around at the unfamiliar environment, hesitated for a moment, and could only follow Baiyao. Chapter 2. Missing an Apprentice. You are listening at Novel Full. Audio. When Baiyao finished taking a shower and walked out with her hair scattered, she saw Jun Lingchuan standing restrained in the yard. Baiyao wiped her head while sitting on the stone bench in the courtyard. Sit down, why are you standing there foolishly? Jun Lingchuan hesitated for a moment and boldly sat over. He is a grand prince, why be afraid of a woman? Were you sent by him to save me and go back? Baiyao's hand wiped her hair, and her eyes were full of confusion. Who? Jun Lingchuan looked at Baiyao with a completely opposite gaze to before, and he wondered if he had made a mistake or if she had secretly changed people while taking a shower. But it doesn't seem like she's pretending, she shouldn't be someone sent by the emperor. No one, why did you save me? Baiyao threw a towel on the stone table and looked at Jun Lingchuan. Her small face was dirty, but she sat straight and didn't look like an ordinary person. However, she is not interested in his previous identity. I'm missing an apprentice, you. Master is here, please accept my disciples' worship. Before Baiyao could finish speaking, Jun Lingchuan suddenly knelt on the ground and kowtowed to her 3 times. In fact, he already knew his fate during the day, so he didn't expect anyone to save him. Until Baiyao appeared, like a demon god, with fierce movements and a single sword sealing her throat, he had never seen that woman's martial arts were even better than men's. Even more powerful than the master who was hired at a high price by the emperor for his elder brother. Just didn't think about it in any way just now. Now that Baiyao has brought it up, he is willing to do 1,000. Baiyao's eyebrows raised as she thought she would pay for something, but she didn't expect to accept the apprentice so easily. She nodded casually. Well, since you're willing, then follow me from now on. Jun Lingchuan looked up at Baiyao with a silly smile. He had never been as happy as he was today when he was so big. Just the next second, as if thinking of something, my head drooped again. Master, I have a special identity and I'm afraid they will come back to find me. Baiyao looked at him without asking what his identity was, just asking him, do you want to go back? Jun Lingchuan is 10,000 unwilling to address this issue. He shook his head firmly. I don't want to. Well, since that's the case, then no one can take you away from me. In Jun Lingchuan's eyes, there was admiration for Baiyao. Such arrogant words, when spoken in her plain tone, were even more imposing. He believes that Baiyao has this ability. At this moment, Baiyao's thoughts had drifted elsewhere. System, why didn't there be a successful acceptance prompt? Is it possible to set up a few tables for an acceptance ceremony? Please choose the name of your sect first, and the system will automatically determine that the apprenticeship has been successfully accepted. Okay, there's still a name missing. At this moment, Baiyao's eyes moved and she heard something moving at the door. Go, open the door. Jun Lingchuan obediently went to open the door. At the entrance are the people from Taohua village next to them, with the village chief leading the way. People knew they had found the right place when they saw the child opening the door. Crossing Jun Lingchuan and looking back, they saw Baiyao sitting in the yard. Suddenly, Jun Lingchuan was pushed aside and excitedly approached Baiyao. Miss, this dish is grown by our own family, and the chickens and ducks are also raised by ourselves. There isn't much good food, but it's all a heartfelt gesture from all the villagers. Thank you for saving our peach blossom village. As the village chief spoke, tears welled up and he was about to kneel down for Baiyao. The people behind also approached to kowtow to Baiyao. Baiyao looked at this posture and quickly summoned the system in her heart, and then the villagers were lifted up by an invisible force. When people knelt halfway down and showed doubts on their faces and wanted to try again, Baiyao quickly got up to stop them. Grandpa, you can't kneel. You're wasting my life. You don't need to be so polite, it's just a matter of lifting a finger. Baiyao was so scared that her expression almost came out. With so many people, the ones in front were all older and more prestigious people from the village, while the ones behind were younger girls and young men. The eyes that looked at her one by one were filled with the joy and gratitude of surviving the disaster, as well as the stunning sight of Baiyao's face. Baiyao felt a bit embarrassed as she looked at them like this. She went to save Jun Lingchuan and also saved them, without expecting anything in return. The battle was really quite intense. The village chief looked at the old guys around him, and it was indeed a bit inappropriate. A crease appeared on his face and he smiled. It's because I was not thoughtful. Miss, whether it's your effortless effort or your help, you have saved the lives of our entire village. It's a great kindness, and I will never forget this kindness in Taohua village. Miss, we won't kneel anymore, but you must take these things. Looking at the things in their hands, Baiyao immediately wanted to decline, but at that moment, the sound of the system rang in her mind. Host, your physical body is still unborn and you haven't eaten anything today. There is no food stored at home. Kind reminder. The system is currently unable to exchange any edible products. The system sound fell, and Baiyao's stomach purred. If she can't exchange food, wouldn't she have to figure it out on her own? Looking at the chickens, ducks, eggs, and vegetables in front of me at this moment, it's like giving charcoal in the snow. Baiyao immediately chuckled. Since it's a gesture of goodwill from all the villagers, I'll accept it. Baiyao looked at Jun Lingchuan, who was bowing her head to contemplate, and said, What are you staring at? With a glance, Jun Lingchuan immediately understood and stepped forward to take what was in people's hands. The village chief was satisfied and happily said some nice words, leading everyone to leave with their own thoughts. Baiyao looked at the chicken and duck in front of her and made a mistake. She dares to kill, but to kill a chicken, she has no way to start. She shifted her gaze to Jun Lingchuan next to her. Xiaochuan, dare you kill a chicken? Upon hearing this title, Jun Lingchuan was taken aback and looked at Baiyao. He could hear a hint of provocation in her tone, and immediately felt a strong determination not to give up. He straightened his chest. What dare chickens not kill? Then you can show me how to kill it. Jijiang succeeded. Kill. Jun Lingchuan picked up a kitchen knife and walked towards the chicken. Baiyao watched from behind as his hands trembled, almost laughing out loud. Jun Lingchuan, who has never killed anyone since childhood, is now in a state of panic. However, when he thinks that Baiyao's murder is like chopping vegetables, he dares not kill a chicken. So he held a knife in one hand, pressed down the chicken head in the other, closed his eyes, and chopped it down with one knife. Jun Lingchuan opened his eyes and looked at the chicken, which was already dead. Blood kept flowing out of its body, which was a bit scary, but after calming down for a while, it was nothing more. Is it okay? Baiyao's voice came from behind, and Jun Lingchuan nodded slowly. Then, by the way, let's deal with the chicken. Dig out the internal organs, pluck the hair clean, and then call me. After finishing speaking, Baiyao went back to her room on her own. Children need to exercise from a young age, otherwise even cultivating immortality is just a matter of having a limited ability. Jun Lingchuan looked at Baiyao's back and remained silent for a while. Finally, he silently finished everything before knocking on Baiyao's door. Chapter 3. Xiaoyao Sect. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The room was quiet and there was no sound to be heard, with a hint of strangeness. He leaned against the door, wanting to hear if Baiyao was up. Just as he was about to knock on the door again, the door in front suddenly opened. Facing Baiyao's gaze, Jun Lingchuan stood awkwardly in place. I have everything ready. Well, let's go, have spicy chicken tonight. Baiyao was cooking while Jun Lingchuan was watching from the side. Seeing Baiyao putting so much chili peppers, he felt uneasy. He had never been able to eat spicy food since childhood, let alone so much. However, until the fragrance spread, he couldn't bear it anymore and simply forgot what not to eat spicy food. Spicy chicken, green vegetables, and egg soup are served on the table, with a fragrant aroma. The only downside is that there are fewer bowls of white rice. But even so, the two still ate very well. Since Jun Lingchuan was kidnapped by this group of people, he has never had a full meal, especially such a delicious one. Compared to his voracious eating, Baiyao also eats big, but it looks much better than him. After dinner, the west side is the sleeping area, and you can choose your own room. The east side is the bathroom and study. Before entering the room, go take a shower. There is also the main room, and you are not allowed to enter without my permission, otherwise I will expel you from the school. Got it, master. But what's the name of our sect? Baiyao was lost in thought, and after a while, I haven't figured it out yet. I'll let you know when I think about it. Ah. Jun Lingchuan looked bewildered. After finishing the meal, Jun Lingchuan consciously went to wash the dishes. As a prince, even if he was not favored, he had never done such a thing, but at this moment he was doing it happily. Especially the thought of learning martial arts from Baiyao right away makes me feel very happy. Baiyao stood up and walked towards the study, taking a quick glance at all the books on cultivating immortality. She found a pen and paper and sat at the table pondering. What's the good name for this sect? The first cultivation sect in the world must be unique. Jun Lingchuan finished washing dishes and walked in. Looking at the table, his small eyebrows furrowed. Hanglan Sect, Xiaoyao Sect, Xianyu Sect, Leaping Sect, the world's top sect. One of them may not be the future name of their sect. You happen to be here, help me take a look. That name is a bit better. Baiyao pushed the names she had come up with to Jun Lingchuan and waited for his answer. Jun Lingchuan hesitated as he looked at several names, but Xiaoyao Sect seemed pretty good. Just as he reached out to point, Baiyao pulled it back. Forget it, let's leave it to Tianding. Speaking, Baiyao closed her eyes and spun the paper around the table a few times, only to make sure she couldn't distinguish between the top and bottom. The little rooster will choose whoever it spots. Jun Lingchuan looked at Baiyao's fingers resting on the word salted fish, his eyes widened. If it were the name of his school in the future, he would feel embarrassed to mention it to anyone when he went out. Suddenly, with lightning speed, the paper twitched slightly. Baiyao opened her eyes and looked at the Xiaoyao Sect that her finger pointed to. She sighed slightly and said, "Okay, then let's take Xiaoyao Sect." At the moment of speaking, the three big characters of Xiaoyao Sect appeared on the plaque at the entrance. At the same time, the mechanical sound of the system echoed in Baiyao's mind. Congratulations on the successful naming of the host and the establishment of the sect, with a reward of 300 points. Congratulations to the host for receiving the first disciple, reward 200 points. Jun Lingchuan breathed a sigh of relief. He didn't even call himself the Xianyu Sect. Others thought he was a fish seller after hearing this. But judging from my master's appearance, it seems like I'm a bit disappointed. Baiyao returned to her room and stepped onto the soft sofa to activate the tattered mode. She originally wanted to name the sand sculpture, not for anything else, just for fun. But when I thought about it, one day I would have to leave. It was not good to leave this name for the people behind, so I wrote it down as Xiaoyao Sect. These names were hesitant and ultimately decided to be handed over to Tianyi. Oh, fate is hard to handle. Baiyao rolled over and suddenly felt a hard object under the pillow. Upon taking it out, it appears to be an old and unnamed book. Opening the contents inside, it turned out to be a cultivation secret technique. The text above is densely packed, like a talisman. Just by looking at each character, it's a bit obscure and difficult to understand when combined. There are also patterns inside, clearly indicating the sitting posture of the cultivator and the direction of each acupoint. Dantian, Shihai, and an introduction to spiritual power. There is a wide range of types. Unconsciously, Baiyao was mesmerized by it. She learned to sit in the posture shown in the picture, her energy sinking into the elixir field, and silently recited her mind techniques, feeling the differences in every part of her body. Gradually, she began to feel a subtle force flowing through her breathing in her pores, entering her body, swimming throughout her body, and finally converging into the dantian. That power is spiritual power, as light and impenetrable as air, but the power contained within cannot be underestimated. This sitting lasted all night. When Baiyao opened her eyes, it was already daylight. Congratulations to the host for successfully embarking on the path of cultivating immortals. Reward 1000 points and a space ring. Kind reminder. Every time you break through one level, a reward will be given to the host. Please cheer on the host. After speaking, Baiyao felt like she had something on her hand. At first glance, it was a ring. This should be what the system refers to as the spatial ring. This space ring has a low level and can only be used to store dead objects. The space is limited, please use it at your discretion. Without paying attention to the system, she turned to the nearby cultivation secret technique, and with a movement of her mind, the book disappeared before her eyes. Not bad, Baiyao affirmed. I got up and stretched lazily, feeling comfortable all over, and my whole body felt much lighter. Sure enough, the beauty of cultivating immortality is something that ordinary people cannot experience. She checked and now has 2000 points, hoping to do something. What can points be exchanged for? Unexpectedly, why not ask the system? At present, you can only upgrade your sect or exchange for silver coins, pots and pans, furniture, and other daily necessities. If you want to exchange more, please upgrade and exchange. How do I exchange money? 1 point, 1 penny. That's 1000 points to exchange for 1 or 2 silver. Baiyao tilted her head and thought, what are the prices here? Vegetables range from 2 to 5 won, meat ranges from 18 to 31, cloth ranges from 100 won to a few liang of silver. After searching for prices in the system, Baiyao couldn't bear to listen anymore. There were just too many. Stop. Exchange 1 or 2 silver coins. 1000 points were exchanged for 1 or 2 silver coins, and the exchange was successful. Please check your account carefully. A pile of copper coins appeared on the table. For the convenience of the host, all the exchanged coins are copper coins. If you are not satisfied, you can exchange them for silver. No need, that's it. Baiyao collected all the copper coins on the table into the ring space and then pushed the door out. Jun Lingchuan got up early and was pacing in place, only to hear the tightly closed door finally open. Chapter 4. Baiyao-style hardcore bargaining. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Master, Jun Lingchuan excitedly looked at Baiyao. Well, come with me and take a walk around the town. At the same time, he said to the system in his mind, turn on the navigation for the nearest town. Baiyao led Jun Lingchuan towards the nearest town, passing by Peach Blossom Village, where people greeted warmly with smiles on their faces. Baiyao smiled calmly in response, while Jun Lingchuan lowered his head and looked unhappy. He thought he could learn martial arts from Baiyao today, so he was so excited that he didn't sleep well all night. He got up early in the morning and waited until it was almost noon before Baiyao came out. As a result, he wanted to take him to the town. Fortunately, as a child, when I arrived in town and saw something new, I immediately forgot about the unpleasant experience I had just had. Jun Lingchuan was led by bandits to cross mountains and rivers, enduring a lot of hardships. The clothes, which were originally good, were no longer visible in their original form. But he didn't realize it at all, just looked around curiously, and at first glance, he had never seen the world before. Seeing him like that, Baiyao frowned and raised her hand to tap his head. Put away that unfamiliar appearance, even if you haven't seen it, it's rare, and you can't show it too clearly. In the future, the Xiaoyao Sect will only accept disciples. Jun Lingchuan will be the eldest senior brother of the Xiaoyao Sect. Although he may feel fine in his heart, he will remain calm on his face, able to hold on to the situation and restrain those disciples. Oh, I got it, Master. Jun Lingchuan obediently followed suit, although he still looked around, he restrained a lot more than just now. In fact, he is not like this in the palace, but for some reason, there is a sense of security around Baiyao, allowing him to release his nature with peace of mind. Baiyao looked at Jun Lingchuan, who had good materials, but the worn-out clothes didn't look good no matter what. Then he took Jun Lingchuan to a ready-to-wear shop, looked around, and finally Baiyao took a look at a white robe and pointed. "Give him a try on this garment. Miss, you really have a keen eye. This garment is the treasure of our shop. Young master, can I take you to try it on?" The shopkeeper spoke politely and took Jun Lingchuan to the fitting room. Jun Lingchuan didn't say a word throughout, but the happiness at the corner of his mouth couldn't be concealed. Baiyao waited for a while before Jun Lingchuan tried on the clothes and came out. She looked up and down and nodded in satisfaction. "Not bad." The shopkeeper looked at Baiyao's demeanor and was dressed in clothes that were indistinguishable, thinking it was the lady of some decent family. Laughing with teeth out of sight. "Miss, this dress is particularly suitable for your young master. It only requires 1 or 2 silver coins." Baiyao furrowed her brows. The shopkeeper really knows how to ask for money. She only brought 1 or 2 silver in total and asked for it all at once. "System, check how much this finished garment costs." In just 2 seconds, Baiyao saw the full cost price of the workmanship for this garment. Suddenly, a hint of mockery appeared on his face. "Number 34, shopkeeper, it's better not to be too greedy when doing business. 301, at most. You have earned some, but I bought it comfortably. Why don't everyone enjoy it?" Number 34, as soon as the shopkeeper heard this, his smiling face immediately changed and he looked up and down at Baiyao. "Oh, little girl, if you can't afford it, don't buy it. 301, why don't you go grab it?" Watching the significant changes in him, Baiyao didn't care either. Instead, she casually reported the details displayed by the system to him. "This garment is made of 201 fabric per piece, and half of it was used. The needle and thread are rounded to 21, and the processing fee is 51. You only spent less than 201 in total. If I give you 301, it's already earned for you." The shopkeeper listened to Baiyao's word for word, and the processing fee for this garment had already exploded. Suddenly, his face was even more exciting than the color palette. "But he always sells like this, at most it's as cheap as 801, and he really hasn't bought it for 301. Anyway, the clothes belong to him. If they are given less, he won't sell them." With this in mind, the shopkeeper gave him the lowest price he usually sells. "What are you talking about?" "I don't know. The processing fee for this garment is 201, not to mention the fabric." "Alright, if you really want it, just give me 801. You don't need to earn your money." The shopkeeper looked impatient, as if he was really making money. Baiyao almost burst out laughing as she looked at him like this. From ancient times to the present, the owner of this clothing store has been very eloquent, and the way they bargain is also the same. However, encountering her, even the slightest slip of the tongue is useless. "Okay, since the shopkeeper is not willing to sell, I'll tell others to ask people to inquire and see if it's really what the shopkeeper said. Oh, there should be quite a few people buying clothes from you. If someone finds out that you used to make so much money by selling clothes, I don't know." Baiyao's voice grew louder and louder, and the shopkeeper became noticeably panicked. Seeing other customers coming here, he wished he could cover Baiyao's mouth directly. "Auntie, please stop talking. I'll sell you, but you can't tell others when you go out." The shopkeeper tearfully accepted Baiyao's 301 and lost 701 in pain. Who said he met an expert today? He can only consider himself unlucky. Jun Lingchuan was completely stunned by Baiyao's promiscuous behavior. Although 1 or 2 silver coins were not much money for him, he was able to save 701 from 1 or 2 silver coins, which was very impressive. But at the same time, he also knew that his master had no money and was very poor, but he was willing to buy clothes for him. And Baiyao looked at Jun Lingchuan wearing clean clothes, which made her look like a person, so as not to be accused of abusing her disciples by the leader of the Xiaoyao Sect. After strolling around casually, Baiyao took Jun Lingchuan to the rapeseed shop, bought some daily vegetable seeds, and then strolled back to buy some white rice. Due to Baiyao's extremely beautiful appearance, people on the street occasionally come to look at her, causing crowded crowds wherever she passes, which has also caught the attention of some girls. At this moment, 3 girls walked towards each other. The leading girl had a bad expression on her face. Looking at Baiyao's outstanding appearance, there was a hint of malice in her eyes. She was about to bump into Baiyao, but she easily avoided her on one side of her body. Baiyao seemed to have not seen her, walking forward without changing her expression, not intending to pay attention to these brainworms and waste time. She's still rushing home for dinner. But the other party doesn't want to just let her go and deliberately cause trouble. Stop, if you hit someone, you want to leave. The people around knew that Baiyao had been targeted by several people when they saw this. These 3 people are famous in the town for being rude, and bullying. They have all been bullied, ranging from an elderly person of 70 years old to a child of 3 years old. But the ones who bully the most are still flowering girls who are about the same age as them. As long as they don't like anyone, they will find various reasons to bully. Unfortunately, the leader, Lin Yuewei, is still the eldest lady of the most authoritative Lin family in town. It is said that there are people in the Lin family who know officials, and no one in the town dares to provoke them. Chapter 5. Your name is Lin Yuewei. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The other 2 people, one wearing a light green dress and the other wearing a light blue one, are also ladies from prestigious families in the town, constantly following Lin Yuewei to bully others. The reputation of these 3 people is well known to everyone in the town, which has led to no one daring to come and propose marriage now that they are 17 or 18 years old. People originally looked at Baiyao with stunning eyes, but now it turned into regret and pity. Baiyao didn't know what people were thinking. When she heard the voice, she chose to ignore it and didn't even want to pay attention. Jun Lingchuan turned around and glanced at them. He had seen this kind of thing many times in the palace, all for the jealous women who competed for his father's throne. I didn't expect to meet you again after leaving the palace. Trigger task. Teach Miss Lin and Lin Yuewei a lesson, reward 200 points. As the system tone fell, Baiyao's footsteps paused and she let out a tisk sound. She slowly turned around and looked at the leading girl. Your name is Lin Yuewei. Lin Yuewei watched as Baiyao turned around and slowly walked towards her, momentarily stunned. Watching Baiyao approach, she finally regained her senses. She had just been captivated by Baiyao. A hint of anger flashed through her eyes. She was hailed as the most beautiful girl in the town who had not yet left the cabinet. She was the focus of attention when she went out. How could this sudden appearance of Baiyao be snatched away by the limelight? Just looking at Baiyao's delicate face up close now, at least a circle smaller than her skin is tender and fragile, without any flaws, and even her pores cannot be seen. The key is that she hasn't applied any rouge or powder, her face is still so rosy, and her lips are still so pink. This comparison is simply not enough for her to see. Lin Yuewei is very dissatisfied with this conclusion. However, upon hearing that Baiyao knew her identity, she immediately smiled proudly. She looks good but doesn't have a good background. Just based on her status, she can't breathe anymore. Moreover, she has also ruined the faces of other girls, and there are not many more. Anyway, as long as she doesn't cause any harm, someone will hold on to her. Do you know who Miss is best? Kneel down and apologize obediently, and Miss will show great compassion and consider forgiving you. Lin Yuewei looked up and said arrogantly. A hint of coldness flashed in Baiyao's eyes, and her tone was slightly cold. What's going on today? What's going on? Of course, it's because you don't have long eyes that you bumped into Yuewei's body, causing your clothes to wrinkle. A person in a light green dress next to Lin Yuewei looked disdainfully at Baiyao with a mischievous expression, and even patted the non-existent gray on Lin Yuewei's body. Oh, is that what you're saying? Baiyao took a few steps forward, not giving them a chance to react, and collided directly with Lin Yuewei, causing her to take several steps back in a row. She was helped by people around her in time to avoid falling to the ground. The people around looked at Baiyao so boldly and took a cold breath, all sweating for her. This girl is a bit too bold. The people in front of her have to hide far away, let alone a weak woman who actually bumped into her. People marveled at Baiyao's courage while predicting how miserable her future would be. Lin Yuewei widened her eyes at this moment. Perhaps she had never encountered such an unconventional player before, and she looked at Baiyao incredulously. You dare to bump into me? Didn't you stigmatize me and say I bumped into you? Baiyao patted her shoulder just now, with a look of disgust. I have always been too lazy to explain. In the face of some petty people's slander, I only know how to take things seriously. Who are you saying is a villain? Speaking of you, why don't you understand human language? The onlookers couldn't help but burst out laughing for a moment. Lin Yuewei has never been treated like this on the street before. She couldn't hold her face for a moment and blushed with anger. The women of ordinary families are thin-skinned. Their sisters can cry and run away with one word of abuse. When they see them in the future, they will take a detour. Today is the first time to meet Baiyao, who is so thick-skinned. Not only did she not cry, but she also had the upper hand when facing them. However, she has never been afraid of anyone since she was so big. If she were to let go like this today, how could she continue to live in the town? Humph, I'll let you know today who to provoke and who not to provoke. Speaking, Lin Yuewei quickly stepped forward and slapped Baiyao's small face. You can tell how much force she used by the way she gritted her teeth. Some people in the crowd had already covered their eyes and dared not look anymore. With such a tender face, Lin Yuewei's slap was afraid that it would swell out of place. With a crisp sound. People looked at it and said, oh, how did she become Lin Yuewei after being beaten? Baiyao slowly withdrew her hand and looked at the 5 fingerprints on Lin Yuewei's face, knowing that she had not used all her strength. Lin Yuewei covered her face and watched as Baiyao went from being unbelievable just now to becoming angry and unable to accept it. Bitch, if you dare to hit me, why don't you two look down on me? Speaking, Lin Yuewei rushed towards Baiyao and shouted to the 2 people next to her to come up together. The 2 of them saw that Lin Yuewei had been beaten, and for a moment they didn't come to their senses. When Lin Yuewei called out, they immediately rushed towards Baiyao. Oh my, it's unfortunate. A good girl is going to suffer again. Hey, who said it's not? It's also because this girl is unlucky. These 3 haven't come out for half a month, but unfortunately they came out today and ran into each other. Such a stunning little face, it's rare in the world. I'm afraid it can't be preserved. I can't bear to stop looking at it. People say what they say, but no one dares to come forward and help. However, the scene that people were worried about did not happen, and instead an unexpected turning point occurred. Baiyao remained calm as she faced the 3 rushing towards her. First, she kicked the light blue girl in the stomach, and she fell to the ground, clutching her stomach and shouting. Then a side kick kicked the light green girl out several meters, and she fell to the ground and crawled for a long time without getting up. The last punch hit Lin Yuewei's face, and suddenly a panda eye came out. But this was not over yet. Baiyao slapped Lin Yuewei's face a few times in a row. In no time, Lin Yuewei's whole face swelled up and turned into a pig face. Woo, I'm dead inside. I'll go around and report my father. Lin Yuewei raised her hand and wanted to touch her face, but it was so painful that she dared not touch it. She could only cry and threaten Baiyao with unclear words. After speaking, she was afraid that Baiyao would have to take action again, so she quickly ran away, ignoring her two attendants. Congratulations host, trigger task completion, reward 200 points. Oh girl, hurry up and leave. Lin Yuewei is not scary, what's scary is the Lin family behind her. Yeah, if you offend the Lin family, it could be as easy as breaking your arm and leg and driving out of town, or as serious as potentially losing your life. If I had to tell you, you shouldn't have provoked her just now. Just apologize obediently, maybe you'll be fine. It's too late to say anything, girl. Hurry up and run for your life. If it's too late, I'm afraid even the little dolls around you will be implicated. Chapter 6. Building a Layer of Qi. You are listening at novelfull.audio. People put on a diligent and thoughtful appearance, but they were just playing tricks. There was not a single one who was truly willing to help Baiyao. After all, no one wants to be involved in this kind of thing for no reason. I'm not afraid, my master is even more afraid. Jun Lingchuan stood forward and blocked in front of Baiyao. His master and bandits can all be killed, just the common people. No matter how arrogant they are, what can they do? Baiyao's advice to people can only be summed up in one sentence. I, a member of the Xiaoyao Sect, never take the initiative to cause trouble, but I am not afraid of it. After speaking, she looked at Jun Lingchuan in front of her and the chill in her eyes subsided, reaching out to touch his head. Alright, we should go back now. Jun Lingchuan turned his head to look at Baiyao and nodded, firmly remembering what she had just said in his heart. People only felt that she was arrogant and ignorant towards these two people's attitudes. They told each other well, but in exchange for such a result. When the Lin family came knocking on her door, there were times when she regretted it, afraid that it would be too late. She thought that people would shake their heads and leave one after another. There are also a few people pondering what Baiyao referred to as the Xiaoyao Sect. Is it a very powerful gang? When he arrived at his doorstep, Jun Lingchuan suddenly stopped at the plaque at the door. He scratched his head in confusion, wondering when the plaque of the Xiaoyao Sect was hung. I remember when I finished naming, my master went back to his room. He was so excited that he didn't sleep all night and didn't hear my master getting up in the middle of the night to hang a plaque. Baiyao pretended not to see Jun Lingchuan's doubts and did not intend to explain anything, as he would gradually get used to it in the future. After eating, she immediately threw the person into the study to self-study. After all, she is also a beginner in cultivating immortality. She hasn't learned it herself yet, so let him learn it first. Jun Lingchuan looked at the densely packed words on the book and soon the little chicken pecked at the rice. Originally in the palace, among the many princes, he was unwilling to learn. He thought he could learn martial arts, but in the end, he still read books. However, in order not to disappoint Baiyao, Jun Lingchuan forcefully propped up his eyelids and read the book. But due to my young age, I can only remember written knowledge. The next day, early in the morning, Baiyao went up the mountain. The spiritual power in the mountains is very strong, even stronger than at home. Although the spiritual power at home will strengthen with upgrades, the current spiritual power is still very limited. She looked left and right, walking leisurely towards the mountains. Take a look at the map of the entire mountain, there are groups of wild beasts, as well as mutated spirit beasts, and countless spirit grasses. But they are all in the deep mountains. In this era, perhaps only these things exist in deep mountains with strong spiritual power. Suddenly, something darted past and flashed by. Baiyao was instantly alert, but noticed that the other person was not very large. She looked at her hands and wondered if this spiritual power could be used now. She activated her spiritual power and felt the power gathering in her palm, but she couldn't figure it out. Host, in order to use spiritual power, one must achieve foundation building in cultivation. I won't say it earlier. System. You didn't ask either. Baiyao casually broke a branch next to her and quietly leaned towards the area with movement. When she saw a white figure, she directly inserted the branch in her hand. Stable, accurate, and ruthless. Upon closer inspection, it was a rabbit. She grabbed one end of the branch and picked up the rabbit directly. I have rabbit meat to eat. Walking inside again, suddenly there was another movement that flashed by, but this time the speed slowed down a lot. She prepared the branch in her hand, determined the target, and with a curl of her mouth, it was much larger than the one just now. Just as she was about to take a fatal blow, the rabbit turned around and looked at Baiyao with its round and big eyes. Baiyao paused in her footsteps. Where is the rabbit? This is the white tiger cub. I guess I got separated from the big one. Baiyao shook her head in disappointment, ready to search for anything else, but as soon as she took 2 steps, she heard some movement behind her. As she turned her head, the little white tiger was following her not far or near. As soon as she stopped, it also stopped, sitting there honestly watching her. Baiyao ignored it and walked on her own, but her short legs couldn't keep up for a while. After spinning around, she didn't see anything rare. Baiyao simply found a clean stone and sat on it to practice. She has just started learning and can't even use her spiritual power. What's the difference between this and being a useless cultivator? She closed her eyes and felt the spiritual power flowing in from the mountains, entering her body and wandering. It seems to be faster than practicing at home. In the evening, Baiyao's elixir field was already filled with spiritual power, as if reaching a bottleneck. With a bang, the elixir field instantly became empty, and her cultivation reached the level of Qi cultivation. Congratulations to the host for reaching 1 level of Qi cultivation, reward 100 points. You can't give more rewards. Sorry host, the reward criteria are set above, and I have no authority to make decisions. Okay, that's for free. Ahem, suddenly, a very small sob came from Baiyao's feet. She lowered her head and saw that it was actually the little white tiger from earlier. Wasn't it thrown away? Surprisingly, it came up even further. The little white tiger wagged its tail and rubbed against Baiyao's calf, looking like a dog's leg. Baiyao couldn't tell her emotions on her face, so she kicked the little white tiger away and rolled around on the ground before stopping. Xiao Baihu got up, shaking his head and tail, looking even more excited than before. His short legs flipped around Baiyao's feet and rubbed against her legs again. Baiyao's face turned black as she sat down. This little white tiger was playing with it. This time she stepped back, and little white tiger stood still for a moment before running towards Baiyao. Seeing this, Baiyao quickly came to stop. Hey, stop, don't come over. Little white tiger seemed to understand, stopped, sat in place, tilted his head to look at her. I'm not your mother. You found the wrong person, don't follow me. Ahem, oh no use, I don't want to keep a pet. I have to feed, shovel feces, and occasionally go out for a walk. It's too much trouble. Little white tiger fell down on the ground in disappointment, and Baiyao looked so pitiful that she couldn't express herself. Does this little white tiger still understand human nature? Thinking about it, Baiyao asked it. Do you want to follow me? In an instant, the little white tiger stood up and watched as Baiyao's eyes lit up and her tail wagged happily. Baiyao looked at it like this and was amazed. This little thing really understands human language. Since that's the case, it's not impossible to keep it. In fact, when you think about the white tiger growing up and following you with great might, or being a mount, it seems quite imposing. Thinking this way, Baiyao looked at it from a high position. You can follow me if you want, but if you listen to me and can do it, I'll take you back. Little white tiger immediately turned around happily in place, with the corner of his mouth almost reaching the back of his head. Looking at it like this, Baiyao always felt that this white tiger dog had a dog-like aura. Chapter 7. Lin family visits home. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Carrying a wild rabbit, Baiyao ran into a wild chicken on the way and collected it together. I went back one hand at a time. When she got home, it was almost dark, and from a distance, Baiyao saw that the door was filled with people. These people are like practicing family members, standing neatly at the door, surrounding Baiyao's home in the middle. Baiyao's eyes turned cold, and she guessed what had happened. She quickened her steps and walked towards home. Just as she approached Baiyao, she was stopped by a big man at the door. What kind of person? Baiyao's mouth curved slightly, with a chill in her eyes. You come to my house, I don't know who I am. After speaking, she kicked the person in the abdomen, causing him to bend over in pain. Damn it, catch me. People rushed forward in unison, and Baiyao threw the things in her hand firmly into the yard. A high-legged kick hit the face of the nearest person, instantly resulting in a clear footprint and nosebleeds. With one hand blocking the incoming fist, he swung his backhand up. Withdrawing her hand, Baiyao looked at the reddened bone joints, truly a practitioner. The bones were hard, and the beating made her hands ache. She infused her spiritual power into her palm, clenched her fists, and struck at the oncoming person. This time, there was no feeling, on the contrary, the person who was hit had their teeth flying out and fell to the ground without getting up again. This discovery delighted Baiyao immensely. Although it is not yet possible to exert spiritual power, it can be contained in the palms or feet. It can make it easier for her to beat people, and her strength is 10 times stronger than before. Hearing the commotion outside, the people in the yard walked out. A man and a woman, with Jun Lingchuan bound behind them. And this man and woman are Lin Yuewei wearing a veil and his father, Lin Jingtian. Lin Jingtian looked at Baiyao's carefully selected thugs and knocked them down, knowing that he was a tough character. Just looking at that delicate face, I couldn't tell there was such a strong explosive force. I don't blame my daughter for being at a disadvantage in her hands. If this kind of person can be included in the bag, it will be beneficial for him in all aspects. Lin Jingtian's eyes flashed with cunning, and his calculations in his heart crackled. It's you who injured my little girl. Baiyao ignored Lin Jingtian and instead focused her gaze on Jun Lingchuan behind him. Looking at the scars on his face, Baiyao's face instantly turned black and she asked coldly. You hit his injury. Lin Jingtian was stunned for a moment, then turned his head to look at Jun Lingchuan behind him. Just as he was about to admit, he saw Lin Yuewei standing up next to him. I did it, she frowned and looked proud. When you hit me that day, you should be prepared to return it. I just slapped him a few times to vent my anger. Why, aren't you very powerful? If you have the ability, you can fight back. Baiyao's gaze shifted to Lin Yuewei, her murderous intent not concealed. Lin Yuewei was frightened by Baiyao's gaze and hid behind Lin Jingtian. At this moment, Baiyao and the other day in town were just two people. Lin Yuewei just felt that Baiyao's gaze was terrifying, but in middle age, Lin Jingtian, who had experienced strong winds and waves, knew that Baiyao had a murderous heart. I originally wanted to take Baiyao away, but now, this person cannot stay. He raised his hand and waved back. The big man behind quickly rushed out and surrounded Baiyao in groups. Baiyao could clearly feel that the group of people in front of her was not of the same level as the group just now. But for her, it's all the same, which happens to allow her to practice her hands and better utilize her spiritual power. This time, Baiyao only left a trace of strength and couldn't control himself from killing the person. With each punch, the sound of fractures and howls suddenly sounded. In no time, the ground was covered in bloodstains and countless teeth. A dozen or so big men, in just 2 minutes, Baiyao beat them up and couldn't even get scared. She walked slowly towards Lin Jingtian. This matter was already over, but if you insist on coming to my door and injuring my disciple, it's like seeking death. When Lin Jingtian knocked down all the thugs he brought at the Baiyao bar, his heart had already begun to beat drums. At this moment, as he watched Baiyao get closer and closer, he said that not panicking was false. He looked around to see if there were any self-defense tools, but he saw Jun Lingchuan behind him. His eyes lit up, and he fiercely grabbed Jun Lingchuan's collar. But before the hand could touch it, one hand grabbed his wrist faster, flipped it over, and removed his arm. Lin Jingtian let out a groan of pain and squatted on the ground, leaning towards Lin Yuewei. Lin Yuewei screamed and dodged to the side, wanting to run. Baiyao grabbed her back and threw her in front of Jun Lingchuan. How did she hit you? Give me 10 times back. After speaking, he kicked Lin Jingtian, who wanted to run away, to the ground and stepped forward, crushing his leg bone. Today, I just want you to know who to provoke and who not to provoke. Baiyao untied the rope for Jun Lingchuan and examined the wound on his face. It was nothing serious, so she asked him to come forward and seek revenge on his own. Jun Lingchuan has a dream of becoming a great hero in his heart, and he also wants to learn martial arts from Baiyao, but after all, he is only a child and has never beaten anyone since he was so old. Today, I will teach you the first lesson, to be my disciple of Baiyao. The first thing is not to be wronged. The person who bullies you must be beaten back hard. Let her know that you are not easy to provoke, otherwise you will be approached and bullied like today. Jun Lingchuan could deeply understand the meaning of Baiyao's words, because in the palace, he was being bullied by other princes. He thought that if he could endure it, he would be fine, but in exchange, they intensified their bullying. Recalling those days, as well as the harshness of Lin Yuewei hitting him just now, his eyes became firm. He slowly stepped forward and stood in front of Lin Yuewei, learning from Baiyao's style, punching her in the face. Lin Yuewei stared fiercely at Jun Lingchuan, clearly dissatisfied, but she was afraid when she saw Baiyao next to her exerting such a harsh hand on her father. Trying to feel the feeling of being bullied, Lin Yuewei felt dissatisfied and humiliated. The feeling of powerlessness reminded her of how she used to bully others. At that time, she only felt proud, superior, but she didn't expect the oppressed person to feel so helpless in their heart. As Jun Lingchuan punched again, Lin Yuewei cried in fear. I know I was wrong, please let me go. She imitated the way people she had bullied before begged for mercy, but Baiyao ignored it at all. Continue to let Jun Lingchuan fight. As much as it must be returned in one go. In the future, when encountering a woman when going out, remember to give in 3 points of courtesy. She is the best at recognizing etiquette, but if you don't recognize etiquette and still make progress, then just call me back today to make her remember better. Although Jun Lingchuan's strength is not as strong as Lin Yuewei's, she must let him know that besides her, anyone's oppression in this world must be returned. What is 1/3 of Chapter 8? You are listening at Novel Full.audio. Yes, Master. Seeing that the fight was almost over, Baiyao shouted to stop. Lin Yuewei finally breathed a sigh of relief. Her already swollen face was now unable to see her facial features clearly, and her eyes were squeezed into a slit. Now, let me give you this second lesson, kill the grass and eradicate the roots. When these 4 words were spoken, both the father and daughter of the Lin family were taken aback. They didn't expect Baiyao to be so ruthless and dare to kill someone to silence her. They looked at Baiyao and couldn't feel any pain from her injuries. Facing the troublemaker, if he doesn't want you to do well, you can just kill him and get rid of all the weeds. This will save you the trouble of not being able to get rid of all the weeds and the spring breeze blowing again. When the time comes, he will come to seek revenge on you. After speaking, Baiyao's gaze happened to be on Lin Yuewei. Lin Yuewei turned her head and glanced at Lin Jingtian, who was too busy to care about herself, thinking about how many chances she still had to survive. Looking around, there is a village not far ahead, but it is estimated that if you cannot run over, you will be caught by Baiyao. Behind was a mountain, with no one around, and her heart grew colder and colder. Fear of death surged in her heart, causing her to kneel on the ground and beg for mercy. I was wrong, please forgive me. I don't want to die. You can do anything you want me to do. You can hit me, curse me, or anything else. Don't kill me. Lin Jingtian endured the pain and watched from the side. Seeing Baiyao's fierce attack just now, it seemed like a professional killer. Such a person would not be soft-hearted. He was thinking of a solution when Baiyao sneered. If I had known now, why did I have to go back then? However, I can give you a chance to survive. Upon hearing that they could survive, both of them looked at Baiyao and only listened to her. But you too can only live one. Do you choose to live by yourself or by your father? Lin Yuewei suddenly became foolish, and Lin Jingtian did not expect such a choice. If he chooses, he will definitely choose to live on his own. After all, children can still be reborn. However, considering that although Lin Yuewei may be stubborn and domineering, she is always obedient to him and not afraid of her disobedience. He gestured to Lin Yuewei to choose him, but Lin Yuewei avoided him. It's better to think faster, don't waste my time. Otherwise, no one will want to live. Baiyao timely reminded on the side. Lin Yuewei's conflicted expression was gradually replaced by indifference. She wants to live, she's only 16, life has just begun, she doesn't want to die. At this moment, Lin Yuewei didn't think about what to do with her future life, she just wanted to live on. I choose myself. As soon as he spoke, Lin Jingtian widened his eyes and reached out to grab Lin Yuewei. Rebel girl, have you forgotten who raised you so much and provided you with good food and clothing? Lin Yuewei dodged, but dared not look at him and could only tremble with fear. Okay, you go. Baiyao spoke, and Lin Yuewei ran away without looking back. Lin Jingtian roared at her back, but he didn't get a look from Lin Yuewei either. My own daughter, who is delicious and often cleans his buttocks, has raised a white-eyed wolf. Tisk, it's really a father-daughter love story. Baiyao had a smile on her lips that seemed to be absent. Killing people is so boring, it's only fun to kill with a single blow. Mr. Lin, you are also a prominent figure in the town, but your daughter's reputation is much better than yours. With your influence, she committed crimes, but in the end, she left you alone and ran away. It really opened my eyes. Lin Jingtian saw that Baiyao was not in a hurry to kill him, and stabilized his mind. Whatever you want, just say it, as long as I have it, I'll give it to you. Hee, I just like to deal with smart people and know everything. I'm a bit short of money lately, why don't you take 1,000 taels to spend? Baiyao's intention was very obvious, and he also made demands directly by beating around the bush with him. After all, who would reject the money that comes to your door? Upon hearing that Baiyao wanted money, Lin Jingtian felt relieved. Anything that money could solve was not a problem. But upon hearing the amount that Baiyao wanted, he made a mistake. Because all of his silver money added up to only 1,000 taels, he suspected that Baiyao had detected his situation in advance. Baiyao did indeed make Lin Jingtian's personal value worse, and she wanted nothing more or less. Anyway, he still has family property, and she was already very compassionate not to include that. Moreover, with Lin Jingtian's ability, the money will be earned back in a few years. There's still a good show ahead, she can't let Lin Jingtian go bankrupt and become an ordinary person. Lin Jingtian pondered for a while and nodded in agreement. After all, he had a clear understanding of the importance of saving fruit compared to life. Send the money within 3 days, otherwise even if you hire more thugs, you won't be able to save your life. Lin Jingtian has experienced this before, and the ones he brought today are the most powerful thugs he has found. Even Baiyao's move cannot be defeated, which shows how powerful Baiyao is. Lin Jingtian struggled to get up and limped towards the direction of his hometown. After walking for not 2 steps, Baiyao's voice rang out from behind. Mr. Lin, there is no grudge between us. Today's incident is all due to your daughter Lin Yuewei. You haven't hurt me a single penny since you came today. When the money comes, the matter will be resolved. This is the beginning of the story. Lin Jingtian's footsteps paused, knowing the meaning behind Baiyao's words. If it weren't for them coming to find trouble, she wouldn't have been against the Lin family at all, and the Lin family wouldn't have suffered heavy losses. However, the Lin family doesn't have to worry about Baiyao finding them later, but if the Lin family has any other ideas in the future, let's talk about it separately. Today, it's all because Lin is not strict in disciplining his daughter, and the money will definitely be presented as promised. Watching Lin Jingtian walk away, Baiyao clapped her hands. Alright, everyone who hasn't died should get up quickly and clean up here, otherwise I'll bury you on the spot. The people on the ground suddenly got up, dragging people and wiping blood stains. In no time, the area in front of the door was restored to its original state. Baiyao just looked at Jun Lingchuan. Ogawa, now, let me teach you the third lesson. Do you know why I just told you to eradicate the root cause and let the Lin family father and daughter go? Because, money. Yes, but only for 1/3. How much is 1/3? Jun Lingchuan scratched his head. It's just half right. Oh, that's not important. The third lesson I'm going to teach you now is killing the heart. Speaking, Baiyao walked towards the yard. Killing is very simple, it's just a matter of wiping her neck, but if it can make her feel worse than death, that's fun. However, this should be done when you are confident that you won't be avenged or killed by the other party. If you are not confident, the safest way is to eradicate the root cause. Jun Lingchuan seems to understand but not quite. Master, how could you let her go and make her feel worse than death? Lin Jingtian. He brought Lin Yuewei to avenge her and vent his anger, but was abandoned by her and chose to let him die. What will Lin Jingtian do to her when he returns? Chapter 9. A tiger-like dog in a tiger. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Jun Lingchuan suddenly realized that no matter how he treated her, there would definitely be no good life left. And what Baiyao just said to Lin Jingtian was not what he thought, but a reminder that everything was caused by Lin Yuewei. At that time, Lin Jing wouldn't have thought so much for the rest of his life after the Tianjie disaster, but when he returned home and faced a leg that could never be cured again, he would only vent his anger on Lin Yuewei. Dare to provoke her, she will make Lin Yuewei regret coming into this world. Jun Lingchuan can be said to have gained insight and realized that his master is not an easy person to deal with. If she were to be placed in the imperial harem of his father, she might not have enough concubines to play with. At this moment, a white furry thing ran over and circled around Jun Lingchuan, then pretended to pee on his shoes. Jun Lingchuan dodged and looked at it curiously. Master, is this a dog? How come it looks different from an ordinary dog? Baiyao glanced at the little white tiger with a smile on her lips. This little thing was clever and couldn't hide just now. Now that the person has left and there is no danger, she knows it has come out. If you say it's a dog, then it's a dog, right? Little white tiger hummed twice on the ground to express his dissatisfaction. It's a white tiger, tiger. No one paid attention to it. Baiyao picked up the wild chicken and rabbit that had been thrown on the ground and threw them directly to Jun Lingchuan. Go handle it. Jun Lingchuan caught it and looked at it, his face suddenly filled with sorrow. Master, why didn't you take me up the mountain? Thinking that Baiyao looked at the corner of his mouth and a mischievous smile curved. I'll take you tomorrow. The spiritual power in the mountains is more suitable for cultivation than at home. However, before practicing, it is important to first improve your physical fitness, otherwise even if you are a cultivator, you will still look weak and powerless. It's better for boys to be stronger. Jun Lingchuan looked at Baiyao with a bad premonition. But I am still very happy to think of going up the mountain tomorrow. Then he looked at the dog, who had been persistently urinating on his feet and made a mistake. Master, you wouldn't want to keep it, would you? Keep it, it happens to be missing a watchdog. Ahem, little white tiger retorted. Watching the door is fine, but it's not a dog. The next morning, before dawn, Baiyao picked up Jun Lingchuan from her sleep. After doing warm-up exercises, I ran up the mountain. At first, Jun Lingchuan was able to keep up, but gradually, his physical strength began to run out. Anyway, it's just a child. But Baiyao did not give him a chance to rest at all. She casually grabbed a slender stick and followed Jun Lingchuan behind, hitting it as soon as he slowed down. Later on, seeing that he couldn't run anymore, I let him go, but he just couldn't stop. Watching his slender legs about to stop, Baiyao rudely hit them with a stick. Suddenly, the mournful cries of Jun Lingchuan echoed through the mountains. Jun Lingchuan said, "Oh my, master, please be gentle." Baiyao said, "It's not easy." Jun Lingchuan said, "Master, why are you spanking me? I'm so old." Baiyao said, "You have a lot of buttocks and can't beat them to death." Jun Lingchuan said, "Master, wait for me. There are wolves." Baiyao said, "If you don't want to be eaten, hurry up." As the sound rose higher and higher, it was clear that they were about to reach the summit. Baiyao stood at the peak and looked ahead, where she could see the bustling town in the distance. Jun Lingchuan climbed up with a gasping breath, then lay motionless on the grass to the side. "Master, when will you start teaching me martial arts?" Baiyao turned around and looked at Jun Lingchuan, with a smile on her face. "When you can climb this mountain in one breath." The wind blew over Baiyao's skirt and cooled Jun Lingchuan's heart. Jun Lingchuan looked at his master, who was so good-looking and smiled so softly. How could he say such terrifying things? "Master, please spare me. Climbing this once is enough, a few more times, he can die on the mountain. Just like you still want to learn martial arts." Baiyao said, ignoring Jun Lingchuan's reaction. "I'm just taking you to familiarize yourself with the road today. Starting tomorrow, you'll have to climb it yourself. You can go once a day, and you can't miss a day. Moreover, books need to be taken care of. Cultivation is the main focus." Jun Lingchuan suddenly tilted his head and pretended to be dead. Looking at his appearance, Baiyao couldn't help but cry and laugh, but she wouldn't be soft-hearted. She didn't even want to come today. Climbing the mountain doesn't have a good sleeping experience. But thinking that the child is still young, what if it is taken away by a wild beast? The eldest senior brother of the Xiaoyao Sect was eaten by a wild beast. How embarrassing it is to be rumored. I simply made a trip myself. However, this is only one trip. When he first came up, the system set up a protective barrier along this road. As long as he didn't take the initiative to walk out of this road, the beasts couldn't attack him. Suddenly, she caught a glimpse of black and white shadows in the nearby bamboo forest. Upon closer inspection, wasn't this a panda? In modern times, these are all national treasures. I didn't expect them to be in groups here, holding on to trees like monkeys. However, Baiyao only looked from a distance and did not approach. Although pandas may seem cute and adorable, they are a type of beast that can survive in the deep mountains filled with fierce beasts. She still won't look for this excitement. Day after day began. Jun Lingchuan climbs mountains and reads books every day, and goes to bed early every day. And Baiyao strolled around the village every day because her second apprentice appeared. He is a 7-year-old boy, without a father or mother, calling him a dog egg. So she specifically stared at the 6 or 7-year-old boys in the village. If it weren't for the people in the village knowing about her, they would have thought she was specifically here to steal children. Baiyao thought to herself, anyway, 1 is also collected, and 2 are also collected. With so many children in the village, why not collect them all and teach them together? Isn't it both time-saving and convenient? As a result, the system specifically poured cold water and said, "Host, there is no limit to accepting disciples, and each one will receive a reward of 100 points. However, only the disciples specified by the system will receive rewards." Upon hearing that there was no reward, Baiyao was too lazy to bother. "I'll wait until I have enough disciples and let them recruit me." Being a master is like being a salted fish. That day, Baiyao went again. The children in the village started running when they saw her from a distance, as if they would be caught by Baiyao if they ran slowly. Baiyao was already accustomed to the situation. Her target is the chattering aunties at the village entrance. There is something in this village that they don't know. Without a father or mother, at the age of 7, he lives by eating from all walks of life. Whenever he asks, he comes out. But after a long time, everyone despises it. Now this child is at the village chief's house. Aunties, are your grandchildren interested in learning how to cultivate immortality? Follow me, don't charge me, and even manage to eat and control. Baiyao also gave herself a thumbs up. If she could collect one, these 100 points would be credited to her account. Chapter 10. Baiyao in the Eyes of Villagers. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The aunties were speaking with great enthusiasm, and upon hearing Baiyao's words, they immediately became unhappy. Not to mention the reliability of cultivating immortality, but to mention the importance of food management, there will always be people sending their children away. But I heard that Baiyao's little disciple is forced to climb mountains every day before dawn. Oh my, such a small child. There are so many wild beasts in the mountains. I was eaten that day and didn't even have a whole body. It's pitiful. Thinking of this, coupled with Baiyao's superb martial arts, the ladies shook their heads and picked up their benches to walk home. I'm afraid that Baiyao will be eyeing her precious grandson and granddaughter. After all, Baiyao is someone they have seen with their own eyes and can surpass several bandits with one person's strength. If they forcibly rob her, they won't be able to do anything about it. Baiyao looked at their backs and clicked. Got it, tens of thousands of people dislike it. Let's go and take a look at that child. Baiyao inquired and arrived at the village chief's house. Sure enough, I saw a thin and small boy chopping firewood one by one. The village chief was sitting in the courtyard, burning a fire. When he heard the commotion, he immediately stood up and saw Baiyao, looking surprised and delighted. Miss Bai, why do you have time to come to the village, but you have something to do? Ah, it's okay, I'll take a stroll. Is this child from the village chief's family? Baiyao asked knowingly. Oh, no, the village chief sighed and asked Baiyao to enter the courtyard before earnestly saying. This child, pitiful. Since childhood, he has lost his parents and is the only one left in the family. At first, he took turns eating at various households. People pitied him and were willing to let him go, but as time went on, people complained. After all, no one's food was in vain, and he couldn't do much work as a child. This child is a good person. He noticed that people don't like him, so he didn't go. He came to my place all day to work and exchange food for me. But he's a little doll, where can he work? At first, I said he would give him food if he doesn't work. Hey, guess what? If this child doesn't let him work, he won't eat the food you gave. There's no way, so he can only go. Baiyao's gaze fell on the little boy, who must have noticed it. He looked up quietly and then buried his head in work. Village chief, let this child follow me. The village chief was taken aback for a moment, and the little boy also stopped his movements and looked straight at Baiyao, unable to show any emotion. Isn't Miss Bai joking? Of course not, I'm serious. The village chief looked at Baiyao, who didn't seem to be telling the truth, and chuckled twice. In fact, he is not young anymore, and there is not much surplus food at home. He relies entirely on the village chief's subsidies and the food provided by the children. Although this child intentionally didn't eat much, it was ultimately when he grew up, and over time, he looked much smaller than his peers. It's good that Baiyao is willing to take him away, but the thought of Jun Lingchuan's treatment made his heart beat. Peach Blossom Village and Baiyao's home, it can be said that Xiaoyao Sect is not far away, and one can often hear the child's mournful cries. That's a tragedy. Looking at the thin and weak child in front of me, I wouldn't be tormented to death by Baiyao in just a few days. The village chief made a mistake. Miss Bai, let me think about this matter again. Baiyao thought that this matter was nailed to the nail, and the village chief would definitely agree. This can be considered as solving a difficulty for Taohua village, and there is no need to refuse. I can't believe it, the village chief's little 9 out of 9 in his heart is afraid of her strong military strength, let the child play to death. However, still respecting the village chief's decision, she stood up to bid farewell and decided to come back in a few days, as she had plenty of time. Just as she was about to step out of the door, a voice behind her with a milky sound rang out. I'll come with you. The village chief and Baiyao were both stunned for a moment, then turned around and met the determined gaze of the child. He knew he had caused trouble in the village and no one was willing to adopt him. Although each family initially gave him a meal, no one wanted him to go now. The village chief's grandfather's family was not wealthy, so he couldn't cause him any more trouble. Dog egg, it's none of your business here. You're good at work. The village chief became anxious, afraid that the child might not be as good as they are now. At least you don't need to be beaten now. Grandpa village chief, I am not afraid of hardship or pain. The meaning is that he knows Baiyao likes to hit people, but he is not afraid. Although Baiyao hit someone, he secretly went to see it and found out that the older brother was still doing well and could read and write, which means he didn't hurt as much when he hit someone. Baiyao looked at these two people and blinked. Not afraid of hardship, not afraid of pain. It's like going to endure hardship and exhaustion with her. I've figured it out, let's go with her, but it's her person. Whatever you do, you have to listen to her. Grandpa village chief, don't worry, I have grown up and will be obedient and less beaten. The village chief let out a sigh, and the child himself agreed. If he tried to stop him again, it seemed like he was deliberately obstructing. Hey, since you're going by yourself, that's okay. Miss Bai, you're still young and have lost your family since childhood. It's also pitiful. Please show some mercy when you take action. Baiyao is a bit dumbfounded. Does she look like she likes to hit people? Don't worry, village chief. He won't be beaten to death. Hey, Baiyao didn't pay attention to the village chief anymore, but looked at the little boy. Are you willing to come with me? Not afraid of me hitting you? Not afraid, even when my mother is around, she hits me. Baiyao raised her eyebrows, indicating that the child was truly sincere. However, in this era, it seems that there is no child who is not beaten, and even if there is, it is probably only those wealthy and powerful families. Since that's the case, then come with me. However, I agreed in advance that if you come with me, you can't go back on your word. The boy looked at Baiyao with a firm and heavy nod in his eyes. The village chief looked worried as Baiyao took the person away and shouted from behind, feeling uneasy. Dog egg, come back and see the village chief's grandfather more often when you have time. Got it. With this shout, all the neighbors around came out to take a look. Watching Baiyao take away the dog egg, her face was filled with sympathy and pity for the dog egg. But when it comes to Baiyao's kindness towards Taohua village, no one says a word in front of Baiyao. Wait until you can't see your figure before starting. Oh, why did this dog egg leave with the white girl? I don't know. Judging from this posture, she didn't adopt me, did she? It's good to be adopted by Miss Bai. Miss Bai has a lot of skills, but she's a bit irritable. I heard she often beats children. Isn't that right? My house is closest, and that child is screaming loudly. It hurts me as an outsider to hear it. Alright, someone will eventually adopt him, and he also has a family and a companion of about the same age. If he gets beaten, he will get beaten. Whoever's child hasn't been beaten before. Baiyao returned home with his dog egg, and as soon as he entered, little tiger ran out of that corner and circled around Baiyao. Upon hearing the commotion, Jun Lingchuan also came out of the study and looked at the black and thin boy beside Baiyao, his eyes lit up.